Mr. Williams,
Right.
still hanging out in Florida, huh? Hmm. Looks like you got some sun too.
Yep.
Your face is awful red.
So,
I say your face is awful red.
yeah, got a little sunburn, but
Yeah.
I'll survive. Uh,
Hey, Jim.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Good.
Dick, are you down somewhere? It looks like you're on vacation somewhere.
He's showing off.
Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Wow. Nice. Uh, where is that? Miami?
yeah, this is Miami Beach.
Wow.
There's Miami.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You going on a cruise?
No, we're just down here. This is my son's apartment and or second home, I should say, because he lives in the UK normally.
Hmm.
And for some reason or other, I lost everyone here.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Be back in just a minute.
There we go. Looks like Richard's showing the eclipse.
Yeah.
But that was
That
yesterday.
was yeah, that was from my camera obscura.
Yeah.
I made a box
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and
There it is. Okay.
That's
Neat.
pretty good.
Yeah.
so oh, you hear the ringing. Hold
Right out of Mark Twain.
I traveled down to Cleveland yesterday for that event. It was worth it was definitely worth it.
on. Oh
Oh,
wow. Okay, yeah.
did you get there before all the traffic?
I did. We left here. I live in Waterford. We left about 7 a.m., fully expecting to encounter just awful, awful traffic.
Mm-hmm.
We saw none.
Hmm.
And then I heard people who left later saw lots of traffic.
Oh, yeah. I went down
Uh,
to Toledo.
we did, we
It
did
was
see the traffic
terrible.
coming home.
Okay, yeah. It was
So
terrible
Yeah.
going to.
how'd you watch it? Do you have glasses?
Yep. Yep. I
Yeah,
had the,
you had glasses. Okay, you didn't have to make the box like me. You went the
no,
smart way.
no, I had the fancy glasses and
Fancy glasses. Okay.
just really enjoyed it. That
Mhm.
was my second time. I was also at I went to Kentucky for the 2017 eclipse, and I saw
Oh,
that. So this is my second time seeing a full solar eclipse.
Were they
wow.
about the same darkness?
Um, yeah, it was very much the same, but this one lasted longer. The
Hmm.
one in Kentucky was about 2 minutes and 41 seconds. This one was right around 4 minutes.
Wow.
Um,
I went
oddly,
down to Ottawa
The whole
County.
thing was like 2.5 hours from the beginning
yeah,
to end.
yeah, but I mean the grand finale was 4 minutes,
Yeah.
and what was odd though, in 2017 we went down to Kentucky and just randomly ended up in a parking lot at a Walmart, and we got there and
Yeah.
it wasn't very crowded, but it was a great place to do it. It was like a
Mm.
party. It was everybody was having so much fun. So
Mm.
this year we went to Ohio. We thought let's go to a Walmart,
Hmm.
and there's maybe eight people there for it.
Whoa. What a great
Yeah,
place. Oh,
yeah.
not much of a party though.
But they got snacks,
Yeah.
at
Oh,
Walmart.
that's right.
There's no shortage of snacks.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I took one of my daughters and her husband and my two grandkids and my wife, and we just had a great time.
I went down the night before to the Ottawa County Fairgrounds.
Did you?
Yeah, which was just off the max totality. So we had 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Mm.
Okay.
But yeah, it was nice. The fairgrounds was nearly empty, so there was only like 6 of us camping there.
Yeah, isn't it? I don't know. The media made it sound like it was just going to be packed wall to wall. And I guess, did you run into the traffic coming home?
Coming home, yeah. The
Yeah, Toledo was a
people
mess.
that left at 9 or 10 o'clock were running into traffic on the way in. I think it took them 3 hours to get down
Yeah.
from in the Ann Arbor area. It was all by Dundee. Once they got past the border, it all cleared.
Okay. But it was worth it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we went down, we didn't leave here till about noon for other reasons. Did run into a lot of traffic going down. Made it down as far as the north side of Toledo, which was fine. We wound up in a parking lot for a Kroger and a bunch of other
Yeah. Yeah.
stores and watched it from there. And I had a McDonald's for restrooms, food, and
Yeah.
it worked just fine.
Yeah. So
I
you got
had
your
two
you got
grandkids
your
with- Yeah, I had two
you got your
grandkids with-
totality.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I'm looking forward to 2044 or 2045.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, you can, I can make it an objective to live that long.
Yeah, well, it's a reason. So yeah,
I was just south of Toledo, maybe about 5 miles south in a little town there. My cousin lives there. And we had about probably 3 minutes, two and
Did
a
you?
half, 3 minutes. Yep. It was really nice. First
Yeah.
time I'd ever seen that.
yeah. It's everybody that says 99% is just about as good.
Nope.
No,
No.
it's not.
They-
It's
they've-
amazing. At 95%, it's like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even at 99%, it still looks cool if you look through the glasses. But at 100%,
Yeah.
it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I managed to get one good picture of it on my cell phone.
I
was
tried pictures, I just couldn't do it.
far, but I couldn't tell if they're going to come out or not, and I haven't had a chance. I didn't get home till midnight last night.
Yeah, I got home about 11.
So
Yeah,
I
but
heard
you
not
gotta-
to use your cell phone. I heard not to. It might hurt the cell phone.
you
So
can't
this
do
picture.
it without a filter.
if you have a filter, yeah.
And
Oh, okay.
totality, you can take the filter off and it's just fine because you can look at it without your glasses at
Yeah.
the totality.
Right, but you got to hold the camera too steady. I can't hold it that steady.
Yeah, we had,
I,
had tripods, but like I said,
I,
I'm
yeah,
not sure
yeah,
how well
because
that
my
one
pictures,
came out, just the cell
my
phone.
pictures were awful.
Yeah, managed to get a couple of good ones on the
Good.
cell phone,
Well,
I
I knew
but far, I haven't even unloaded those photos yet.
I knew a couple days ahead that we had to go down there because the 99% versus 100%, Neil deGrasse Tyson was interviewed and he said at 99%, you've got the light of about 10,000 moons equivalent.
Mm, mm,
So I said,
yeah,
oh, well, that's going to be nothing then. We got to
yeah,
go down there.
Yeah,
That's correct. At 99%, man, it was almost like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
it got cold though, didn't it?
Yeah. And did you notice the birds going wonky?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it got
birds and
just yeah,
they're flopping around, looking around, couldn't figure out what was happening.
yeah. I didn't know what to do.
I wonder what my son thought was happening. My
Yeah,
son, the flat earther.
yeah, yeah. How do they explain that? Uh,
Well, if you don't need to explain actual observed phenomenon, then, I mean,
That was Richard Jackson calling me back.
yeah,
Yeah. How is he doing?
we haven't seen him in a while.
He had his
Yeah,
hip.
well, he's not home. He's on his way home, so he'll be here a little later. You
Okay,
can
Okay.
ask him yourself.
Okay. Good.
I thought it sounded a lot worse than I think it ended up. He's apparently walking around, so
what did he
what, he had
do?
a hip replacement.
that's what he went in for. And then they found an infection, and
Oh,
but yeah, he had to go in to finally get it done. Right.
mm.
So he
Well,
was
I'm gonna
planning to
try.
not to go with his sister to live with her, have her take care of him. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
not happening. That's not happening right now. So there you go.
Mm.
I'm gonna try sharing my screen just to see how it works. Now let me get the right stuff in the right place.
Can't do it. No.
Desktop on, share. Why does it do that?
Introduction to Vim.
So good, you guys can see it. The only thing is,
All right. Should I?
I gotta get out of full screen mode here so that I can actually interact with my. Well, I guess I am interacting with it. Okay.
Do I need to?
You
Oh,
see,
I have it already. Vim. All right. There we go.
yeah, you see it moving around.
Yep.
So when I share my screen, I can't see what you all are seeing. I guess.
All right. I'm going to be following you on my Linux box,
Okay.
or one of the Linux boxes, I should say. All right.
Oh, there it is. Okay. You know what? I think I'm going to make this window bigger. Go bigger with the font if I can. Let's see.
Yep. That
that's
works.
legible even with me on the big screen.
Yeah. That's plenty big there.
Oh, it's available for Windows. Look at that. All right.
Hang on. Come on. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. I think I got my font sizes good. Everybody can see that okay?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
So, Wolf, you made it home. I see. That's good.
This will be the most unprepared I have ever been for a talk.
And yet it's still going to be awesome.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think so, because you would do nothing less. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can.
Oh, I wanted
Interact.
to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to see something?
I was wondering about the calendar. Is that I forgot what it's called.
Calendar.
Is it a
What calendar?
widget? It's a widget.
Calendar. I don't know what you're talking about.
Upper right. It's in the screen. There's some program that
Oh,
I
yeah,
forgot what it's
yeah.
called.
I'm on a Mac.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Yeah, that's just my calendar. Yeah. So it's likely to look different if you're on Linux, but Vim is the same.
All right. I've got it open. Wait, this is Vim, isn't it? No, this is NVim. This is NeoVim. Oh, I got NeoVim.
They're pretty similar.
I think for what I'm talking about, they're going to be the same.
All right.
We're not getting into programming and stuff like that, but
That says NeoVim. How come this icon says Vim?
I don't know.
All right. Well. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them alias Vim to NeoVim.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what the differences are.
I can tell you a couple. NeoVim doesn't understand VimScript 9. NeoVim does understand Lua.
Hmm.
Okay.
Those are two major differences right there. Most of the plugins are compatible with both.
Let's see. Somebody's asking for the call-in number. Oh, Justin's asking for the call-in number. Let me just go see if I can get that for him. Okay, I think this would do it.
Hello.
Hello.
3 out of 5 people here are Jim.
Yeah, so far.
No,
Haven't seen you in a while.
just got back from Florida on Friday.
Yeah?
So,
Welcome back.
well, thanks.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Dick.
you've
Wow,
got a mug T-shirt on.
I do.
Very nice. It's
Yeah,
a
I
it's
found
a
it in the
golf shirt.
closet.
Yeah.
I found this. It's a few years old, like probably 15. So
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
fits.
I bet
So
it's at least that.
yeah. This is a polo shirt.
Most appropriate time to wear it, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So where are you at, Dick?
I'm in Miami Beach.
Oh. We were down that way for 3 months, but we came back last Friday.
Oh, 3 months. What the hell did
Yeah.
you do for 3 months?
Well, we visited. We have my daughter's family lives in Jacksonville, so we were there like for 3 long weekends, and we were in Pompano and Clearwater and Orlando, and so we went around, had a cruise for 10 days with friends.
Now I got the right shirt.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow. That's
my
appropriate.
That's a cool shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watched it going out this morning. I think about four or five cruise ships went out from Miami Beach.
Yeah,
Well,
that and Fort Lauderdale. Yep.
Yeah. But the weather's been good. A little windy.
You know, for you, not for the 3 months we were there. It was in the 60s, windy, cold. We had about 3 or 4 70-degree days and one 80-degree day in 3 months.
Oh, geez.
So it was not. I mean, it was better than Michigan, but wasn't the typical Florida winter.
Yeah, you don't have to scrape it off your windshield or shovel it off the driveway.
No, we didn't. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
We're gonna do some golf this summer.
That'd be wonderful. We could meet somewhere in between. Where I'm about 100 miles from you.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of golf courses between us.
Oh, a ton of them. Yeah, in Oakland County and like northeastern Oakland County, and
You moved out
so
of
yeah.
Canton. You've moved out of Canton completely?
Oh yeah, we moved up here to Lexington October of 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we've been here. It'll be 3 years this October. Yeah, we
Speaking
sold.
of, whoops. Speaking of wiping off your car, I saw this meme of somebody wiping like a foot of snow off their car, saying their mantra: Michigan has no earthquakes, no hurricanes, no alligators. No earthquakes, no hurricanes, no alligators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those are all true. And no salt water.
All right. So how about we get this meeting going? It's about time. It's what is it? 6:43.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I imagine all of you have seen the announcement that went out about our loss of Craig Maloney.
Yep. Very sad.
Yeah, it's I mean, I knew he was sick, and I knew the outcome probably wasn't going to be ultimately what we wanted, but I thought we had more time. I thought he had more time. I thought we'd have more time with him. But
he was what, 65?
no, he's 52.
Oh,
he's just
50?
he's just a kid. Yeah, he's born in
Wow.
72.
Yeah.
He's just a kid.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, I felt real bad when I saw the announcement come out.
Yeah. The
We were on the board a long time.
he'd been battling cancer for just over 2 years. I think January of 2022 he was diagnosed.
See, that's what I
And
yeah.
man, every month, he'd show up at the meeting and it's like, Greg, you're looking great.
Yeah.
But I don't know, last month, I don't know if, how many of you guys were here, but last month he came in looking pretty ragged.
Yeah.
And I just felt that time was short for him, and he went into the hospital. I think about 2 weeks later. I think he had an infection. I'm not sure what all transpired at that point, but it wasn't good.
Wow.
So the funeral is this. I mean, they're not calling it a funeral, but it's this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
3 to 7. I'll be there. I don't know how many of you guys will be able to make it, but
I'm going to try.
yeah, I know the group was really important to him, and he was important to the group.
He was.
Yeah.
For 20 some years, about 20 years, he'd pretty much been running it.
Yep.
I
Sure.
used to run the meetings back in the 90s, and I'm not sure when he came around. I think it was around 2002. Fairly quickly, he jumped in and he just helped out, and he started running the meetings for me and kind of took the pressure off of me. And it was man, it was a welcome thing when he did that. And he did such a great job of running these meetings. It's going to
Yeah.
take us some time to figure out, to get back on our feet and figure this thing out, how we're going to do this, we're obviously going to continue on, but we have to figure that out.
Yeah, he's a big loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, really was. He did this. He did Coffee House Coders. He was
Yeah.
involved in Pi, Ohio, and God, he was involved in so many things.
Oh, the what's the ones that get all
PenguinCon. He did some PenguinCon stuff, didn't he?
PenguinCon.
Some
Yep,
Penguin
he sure
stuff.
did.
Yeah.
Yep. Several presentations each time.
God, he was so generous with his time and
Yeah.
He gave his
he loved
title as a doctor. Was that for real or just something that he made up?
I think he made that up. But
He never said what he got his doctorate in.
Yeah. I was to keep up with his wife. Yeah.
he was, well, he was really into music. He's got a blog. That I was following quite a bit, and he didn't shy away from talking about his cancer.
Yeah.
He was very public about it, and I think that helps give people courage to continue their struggle.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so I'd read his blog posts, and man, he'd go into detail about all that he was going through. And then on March 25th, that was his last blog post. And
Yeah.
Wow.
even that post, I'm gonna send you all the chat here if I can figure out how to do this. I'm gonna post. Here's the link to his blog. If you get some time, you can go back and read that. And his last post, he was starting to talk about some problems he was having, but he didn't mind talking about it at all. He talked about it many times during mug meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wrote a small pamphlet too for people who were going through cancer treatments.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I hadn't seen that.
like if they had just started out, what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the link to it is on his website there. There's somewhere in there. There's a link to the little thing he wrote up.
Oh yeah, there's a tab, cancer tab. Yeah.
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 So he was very giving in the details, and here's my experience. Here's what you might expect if you underwent treatment.
Why I call my cancer debugging rather than a battle.
Yeah.
he was debugging it.
Yeah.
So he had a great outlook, and God, I just thought we had more time.
Yeah.
Sure. You don't expect ones that young to.
Yeah. I don't know.
To have it be fatal like that with all the treatments they have today.
Yeah, but I don't know. Colon cancer can be pretty nasty. Plus, he was stage 4 when they diagnosed it. So
well, that's the problem. Yeah. It's so far gone at that point.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just.
I don't know.
Well, he put up a hell of a fight, and
He sure did.
Yeah.
Somehow I believed that he was going to win.
I found this on the web.
It just wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people live with cancer. They get their treatments, and it's just a chronic thing that they maintain.
Sure.
I think he was hoping for that.
Yeah, he for 2 years he'd been living outwardly pretty well with it. It certainly affected his lifestyle, but he was still energetic and still committed to helping people.
Yeah. He wouldn't have even known if he hadn't mentioned it, that He looked
know.
normal on the video.
Yeah, yeah, right up until last month.
Yeah,
Craig was a good man, and
yeah, he
cancer
was.
didn't touch that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, he managed to keep most of his hair.
Yeah.
A lot of cancer. My sister, she had cancer. She lost all of it, but she survived.
Wow.
Bald
Depends
headed.
on depends on the chemo.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
Wow.
I
Well, it's
don't know.
certainly a big loss to not only the group, but certainly the our industry.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
I mean,
Sure.
he was always trying new stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he ran the Michigan Loco for Ubuntu for a long time, for as long as that existed.
Hmm.
And he was doing the release parties, and I always look forward to that. He'd do that at PenguinCon. He'd do the release party because it always coincided with the new releases of Ubuntu, and
Yeah,
it was just a good time. But I don't know. It's I feel real bad for Jody.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
He was also big with the coffee house coders,
yeah,
and that was
yeah,
a nice little gathering
yeah,
that would happen in downtown Royal Oak.
yeah, yeah. Well, right up until COVID, and then like a lot of things, I think it went virtual. I don't know if they ever did get back to meeting in public. I know Craig pretty much decided he wasn't going out in public. Because while you're on chemo, I think your immune system is almost non-existent, and
Yeah,
that's the last thing he needed to do was catch anything, especially COVID.
right.
The
So he made a
question came
decision.
up at Coffee House Coders. Of someone asked that question, and Craig said, "Not if I have anything to do with it." Basically,
What, meeting in public?
right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's hard to imagine going on, but somehow we're gonna.
Sure. Well, he would want that, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, he put a lot of effort into building Mug into what it is, so I think we owe it to him to keep it going. So I think with that, I think we gotta kind of get this meeting started in an official way. I don't have Craig's slideshow. That's one of the things we're gonna have to work our way through is kind of figuring out how these meetings are gonna, what the agenda is gonna be on these meetings, what the format's gonna be. It's not gonna vary drastically, but it's we gotta get it back going. So without the slideshow, I think I'll just talk a little bit. And one of the God, I don't even know how to get started. Well, first of all, welcome everybody to the April 2024 Mug meeting. We do have a nice turnout tonight. We got a couple of presentations. I'm doing the one on introduction to Vim, and Wolf is going to give us a presentation on Pi-hole. Looking forward to that. We meet the second Tuesday of every month, 6:30. You can go to obviously you guys are here. We publish the schedule on our webpage at mug.org. We put announcements out on our mailing list, announce at mug.org. You can sign up for that on the website. Announcements go out on Meetup. It's not actually an announcement that goes up, but there's a standing meeting on Meetup where I think you'll get if you came to us through Meetup, you got some sort of a notification that there was a meeting tonight. What else? Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about membership?
Yeah, this is a free and open group. Everybody is welcome to participate under all circumstances, free of charge. We do, although, have some expenses, and so we have an opportunity for anybody to become a dues paying member and then just have the feeling of being one of those putting it on, and of being one of the inside group. It's $50 a year if you'd so like to join. You can pay us, go to the website and pay us through PayPal or contact Dick Williams, and he can handle it. He's the one raising his hand there at the top row, at least on mine, if you so desire.
Thanks, Dave. And on the MUG website, there is a tab for membership, so you can go there and in fact, I'm going to share my screen now so you all can see it. Let's see, that's the desktop I want. Do that there. That gets hidden. There's our website. Can you all see that all right?
Yep.
We do have a membership tab. You can go there if you want to join as a member. We got a list of our meeting topics. There is a Trello board. You can go to that if you want to see some of the topics and maybe volunteer for something. We're always looking for volunteers for meetings because month after month we're going to put on a meeting. We have to have a topic of some sort. So if you're interested in talking about something, great, get a hold of us. If you have an idea for a presentation, but you're not the person that wants to talk about it, let us know, and we'll see if we can find a presenter. Every month we got to put a show on. So you can. Great way to help us out is to present either do a presentation or just give us ideas for presentations or speaker ideas. That would be very helpful. We do have some sponsors for MUG. A2 Hosting, they provide our web hosting service. So in return, we like to thank them. Altair, that's gosh, I've forgotten the guy's name. Jeff Maricini from Altair. They've been a sponsor of ours for a long time. Avaris, that's my company, and we do a little bit of sponsorship. Penguicon has been a sponsor for a long time. And then we've got some media partners, No Starch Press, Manning, and Tilted Windmill Press. From time to time, they'll give us books to give away or e-certificates to so people can download an ebook. So we sure appreciate all of them. Let's see, videos. We do record our meetings unless for some reason the speaker would rather have us not. We have had presentations in the past where the speakers asked us not to record and put it out on YouTube, and that's perfectly fine with us. But when we can, we will record the meetings and we'll stream them as well on YouTube. So we should have some, I don't know how to tell, but we should have some people out there viewing right now, watching the live stream. I think that kind of covers it. Upcoming meetings at this point, we don't have a May speaker yet. We like to be a couple of months ahead, so we're gonna over the next few weeks we're gonna try to pound out a couple of good meetings, set up a couple of good ones. So we got to find some speakers and some topics. And again, if you have ideas, please let us know. You can contact us at, I'll go to that tab. You can contact us at mug.org. Craig always ran the comment cards. I don't have access to any of that, so we're gonna have to work out a mechanism to continue doing that. We do have a couple of mailing lists, our discuss list and our announce list. So again, go to our webpage and sign up for those. I'm not sure if IRC is still active, but we'll be figuring that out. We do have a small Facebook presence and a LinkedIn presence, and again, like I said, our meetings are up on YouTube. We always do the jobs looking for people and people looking for jobs. So do we have anybody out there who well, first of all, any jobs out there looking for people? Let me see if I can get that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen again just while we do this, if I can figure out how. Nobody raising their hand to let us know about jobs looking for people. How about people looking for jobs? Anybody? Everybody's gainfully employed. We don't have Gib here. He's always the one to tell us about upcoming jobs. Although Gib recently retired from American Airlines, so he's probably not pushing the American Airlines jobs anymore like he was. Am I missing anything, guys, or should we jump into the presentations?
I think the other things that we always do are what's happening with other groups in the area. Does anybody want to talk
Right,
about
other groups in the area.
MD
Well,
Lug and Semco?
yeah, there's MD Lug and Gib runs that. Gib is actually here. I think he's maybe getting connected.
Also, we have the board.
Howdy.
That's right. Gib, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, there he is.
What great timing, huh?
Yeah, we were just talking about you and whether you had any jobs to share. You're
I'm
out of that racket now.
out of that racket. I have retired. I no longer have insights to the companies that I've worked for before. Although I've seen some stories about Ford, where I used to work, and they're letting some people go in some of the, what do they call that? The electric vehicle enterprise.
Oh yeah.
So that whole thing has like turned around and gone backwards and didn't work out the way they planned. So no, we don't have any recommendations for jobs or anything.
Okay. All right. Other groups, Semi-Slug, is that still around? Semco?
Yes, I can say something about Semco.
Okay.
Our next meeting is going to be on the 14th of this month. We always meet on the second Sunday. And Zoom opens up at 1 o'clock. Meeting starts at 1:15. And we're mostly a Windows group, but we also have a Linux special interest group that immediately follows the main meeting. Run by Shwan Kawani. The meeting this month is going to be basically about presented by Mike Bader, who's been in IT since 1968, and he has a thumb drive and utilities that he likes to use when he's helping people with their computers and cleaning computers and all that sort of stuff. And I've seen the presentation when he did it for the Sterling Heights Computer Club, and it's going to be an excellent presentation and very knowledgeable. And if you've ever been in a situation when somebody with Windows asks you for help, this would be a good place to learn the tools that will allow you to help them with their computers better.
Great. And that's the second Sunday of the month at 1 p.m. And that did you say that's coming up this this Sunday, the 14th. Right. Okay, great. Is there any other groups I should mention?
For anybody who is joining from further out, we're from Lansing and we run Lansing.codes as the clearinghouse for the tech community up here in Lansing. So Lansing.codes has all the information about the local groups up here. We're trying to branch out and revitalize the community.
Let's see, Lansing.codes. Yeah, I'm going to paste that here in the channel, in the chat channel.
Yeah, we have a list of all the ones that have previously happened. We're trying to get with all of the leaders of the meetups, the tech groups, and make sure that our calendar's up to date. And we usually have a live calendar that we'll actually pull from Meetup to put topics in there.
Dick, are you just trying to show off?
Yeah, he keeps pointing the camera out the
Yeah.
window.
You're trying to say something, Dick.
Yeah.
All right. So one more piece of business we have to take care of before we get into the presentations. That is, April is our election month, and Craig was always the guy running the elections. He had the software figured out and knew how to do it, and did a great job at it. Now we still got to do the election. The thing is, we have 6 board positions. And with the loss of Craig, there's only 5 of us. So it doesn't make for much of an election. We can just declare the 5 existing board members are still board members. Does anybody else want to join the board?
I am willing to join the board. I'd like to nominate myself
That'd be fantastic.
to join.
That'd be fantastic. Our meetings for the past 4 years have been online. Before COVID, we would all go to Dave's house for steak. We could still accommodate you online, and I think, assuming Dave's going to let us do it again, we would welcome you to even our in-person board meetings. They're usually the last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, that's pretty open for me.
So do we have anybody else that wants to join the board? Keeping in mind, if we get a 7th person to run, that means we have to do a real election.
May I suggest that you have the new prospective board member nominee give a 30-second description of who he is?
I'd be happy to. So my name's Joe Ryan. I spent 24 years as an Army pilot and then got out and started an IT career. I worked in the networking space for a few years and then joined the Linux team over at the facility for rare isotope beams at MSU. And I'm currently a high performance compute systems engineer for Michigan State University.
Wow.
And I've really enjoyed Linux since the mid to late 90s, running home networks in the house and doing routing off of old Red Hat.
Great. You get my vote. So I'm not really sure how to proceed. Do we just do I just get a show of hands of everybody that thinks we should just proceed with our slate of 6 nominees transitioning into 6 board members?
Sure. How do we raise a hand? You know,
is there a raise hand on here?
Do you have video or not?
Yeah, well, you can raise your real hand, or there is a way to raise a hand.
It's under reactions. It's under reactions, and if you don't see it on the bottom of the screen, hit the 3 dots on the right.
There it is. Yeah.
And reactions will show up.
How about chat? I don't see. I say request permission to record this captions.
I don't see reactions either.
How about if we can do a chat? Just say yes to everyone in the chat if you concur.
Sure. 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 23 people here. There's looks like 8, 9, 10, 11. Like, that might be 12. I see 12, and we got 23 people in the meeting. So that's majority. I don't see any no's. So is it official?
Sounds official.
Should we vote on if it's official? No, I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay. Well, congratulations everybody who was running.
Hey, Joe, do you live in this area? Where do you live, Joe?
I'm up in Lansing.
Up in Lansing? Okay.
Well,
About an hour away.
Yeah, it's an hour and 25 minutes, depending on where. And I've been known to drive down there to events in the Detroit and Ann Arbor
Okay.
area.
Well,
I'm
if
a
we
big
get together,
community and I like to get out and about and meet people.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, if we get together, it'll likely be in Northville, which is on the west side of town. So that's a little closer for you.
yep.
Dave, I'm offering up your place for meetings. I
Well,
hope
I'm open. I just
Okay.
bought a brand new grill. Just
Well,
everything.
all right. We'll update the mailing list and put you on it. And Joe, I do need your email address. You want to message it to me or something?
And welcome to the board, Joe. Glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm a big community builder and have been looking for a lug for many years here in the Lansing area.
Great.
This lug's been going on since what, 1989?
No, I joined in '86, and I think it had already been going for several months before that.
Yeah, at that time it was a Unix group before it became a lug, but
Well, it still is a Unix group,
yeah.
right? There's nothing in our name or our charter or anything that says otherwise.
Sure.
So anyway, so congratulations to everybody. I look forward to the coming year, building the group up and continuing the legacy and the work that Craig put into it. So with that, I think we can get moving with the presentations. Wolf, did you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
And I want you to take as much time as you need.
Yeah, okay. It's mine's not going to take all that long, but I think I'll fill out my 30 to 45 minutes pretty easily. So I'm going to be talking about Vim, an introduction to Vim. Let me turn on this screen share thing again. Share that. Share that. Okay, how do I make that ugly thing go away? Okay, there, it just goes away by itself. Okay, so can you all see my screen?
Yep.
The font's big enough you can read what I'm doing?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're doing an introduction to Vim.
Can you increase the size if you actually go to your shell to the right?
This one here?
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, what I'm
That's
showing
good.
I'm showing will be I'm not gonna be showing all that much stuff. But anyway, we're doing a presentation on Vim tonight. This is an introduction. Some of us, like me, have been using Vim for a long time. I started using VI in 1984. And then I started using Vim when Linux came out in early 90s. I didn't get involved in Linux till about 97 or so, but Vim was there. And so I've been using it for a long time. This presentation is written in Vim. Surprise, surprise, right? Vim's a text editor, powerful, highly configurable, and free. Pretty much any Linux, Unix system is going to have it, and you can get it for Windows, a free download, and for Mac. I mean, Mac is, at its heart, a Unix system, so obviously Vim has to be there, right? There's over 1,000 commands in Vim. Most people just use a small handful, and I'm going to be talking about the handful that I use tonight. It's enough, there's probably 30 or 40 commands that I use, and I do quite well. Now, Wolf is a different sort of guy. He probably uses a whole lot more of it than I do, but he's talking about something else tonight. I'm talking about Vim. So a little bit of history. It was created by Bram Moolenaar, who passed away last summer, I think, sometime in 2023. But he put an awful lot of work into Vim, creating a wonderful tool He created as an improvement of VI, which was written by Bill Joy, who, by the way, is from Farmington Hills, Michigan. So it kind of comes back around. We used to hold our meetings in Farmington Hills. It's licensed under the GPL. The current version is 9.1. That's the version I'm running on my system right now. I'm on a Mac, running whatever the latest Mac OS is, and I've got Vim 9.1. Starting Vim. It's real easy. You can just run Vim, and there you go. Now you got an empty buffer, and here you can start typing stuff. Fox, blah, blah, blah. It's as easy as that. Or you can start it with a file name. There, that's the Declaration of Independence. You can just open up the file. You can run it with multiple files and tab through them. Not so much tab through them, but you can move between the files using :n and :prev, :next and previous. Basically, you can move through your list of files that you're editing. I don't know about you, but when I get into an editor, the first thing I want to figure out is how to get out. Over the years, I've tried Emacs a couple of times, and I could never figure out how to get out of Emacs. I would always end up opening up another window and doing a kill all Emacs because I just couldn't figure it out. But if you're using Vim, :Q, I don't know where to go. :Q will get you out, unless you have unsaved changes. There, :Q, and you get out. If I did have changes in the file, and I do a :Q, it warns me that there's changes since I haven't written since the last change. So you can get out with a Q exclamation. That'll get you out and throw away the changes. If you do make changes and you want to save it, there's several ways. With Vim, there's more than one way to do things. And I don't know that there's any right way. But if you do make changes to the file, put a couple of blank lines in there, you can do a WQ. That'll write it and quit it. I'm going to take those lines out. You can do what I always do is just :X. That's the same thing as WQ. Writes it and quits it. Or if you're in the middle of it, you can just do Shift-ZZ. That writes it and quits it. So whichever way you're comfortable with, there is no wrong way to do it. Vim has modes. It's a modal editor. What that means is at any given time, you're in one of its modes. By default, you're in normal mode. Normal mode lets you move around the file. I'm using just keys on the keyboard to move around the file, and it's not entering text. It's just letting me move around. I can scroll up and down and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in normal mode right now. As soon as I hit a command that puts me into insert mode, like here, I'm going to go hit I to enter insert mode. Now I'm in insert mode. Blah, blah, blah. Now, as I'm using these keys, like I would normally use the H, J, K, and L key to move around, but now if I use H, J, K, L, it types them in. So you're in insert mode when you're actually entering text. You can also be in replace mode, like I can replace text. Okay, just like that there. It can be in command line mode when all I got to do is hit the : and it puts me down here on the bottom line of the screen. That's where you can put in EX commands. Oh, things like write if I want to write the buffer out to a file. Things like quit if I want to quit the editor. Things like substitute if I want to substitute words. Turn all yeses to nos, something like that. All right. And then there's visual mode. I'll show you briefly. That's visual mode where I can select a block of text. Or I can select a block of text like this. That's visual mode. Now, there's 14 modes. I've only shown you quickly 5 of them. I'm going to go through these 5. The rest of the modes, you can read the man page for them. Somebody's got some music playing or something playing. You could
I think that, Jim, are you the host of the meeting? I think you can
I am,
mute all.
Yeah, let me let me do that. How do I do that? Mute all. There we go. Mute all. Okay. If you do have questions, please feel free to ask. Unmute yourself and ask your questions. I'm not watching the chat, so actually, I'm going to open up the chat a little bit. Anyway, if you do have questions, please unmute yourself and ask your question. I don't mind stopping in the middle. So that kind of covers briefly what the modes are that we're going to talk about. We're going to get into it. When you're in normal mode, like I showed earlier, you can move around in the file. You can use the arrow keys. Real Vi and Vim users don't. If you're a touch typist, if you have all your fingers on the keyboard, H, J, K, and L make a ton of sense. In fact, I've got a little graphic. You guys remember these old keyboards?
The ADM3A.
That's exactly right. With the H, J, K, L keys on them. And if you can just kind of picture that in your head, it's pretty simple. The H key moves left, the J key moves down, the K moves up, and the L moves right. I'm going to just leave that over here in the corner just to remind people.
I've read that Bill Joy used those letters because the ADM3A already had the arrows on it. And he said, well, I'll just use those keys then.
Yeah. Makes
for VI.
sense. Yeah. And it just makes sense because that's where your hand tends to rest if you're a touch typist. My fingers are on my fingers are on the J, K, L, and semicolon keys, but it's a really easy thing to move over to the H. That's home row for all of you who had typing class back in high school. So I can move up and down, right and left, just by using those keys real easily. I can also use the arrow keys, but that means moving my hand away from the home row on the keyboard. You want to move down a page at a time? Control F. You can move down page after page. You want to move up? Control B. All right, so I'm moving up a page at a time. You want to move to the you want to move to the start of the next word? Here, I just did the W key. It moves me to the start of the next word. B, I don't have it on there, but B moves back to the start of the previous word. So I can easily jump around words. You want to move to the end of a word? E. Just moves to the end of the word. You want to move to the beginning of the line? 0. End of the line? $sign. 0 and $sign. Real easy. Want to move to the beginning or the end of the file? Shift $, or it's $sign. No, I'm sorry. $$ will move you to the bottom of the file. :0 or :1 will move you to the top of the file. If you know what line you want to go to, let's say I know I've got something at line 120, just :120. Boom, I'm at line 120. Line 10, right there. If you forget what the name of the file is that you're editing, Control G will show you down on the status line the file that you're editing, what line you're on, how many lines are in it, and the status of the file that's been modified. Right? I'm 9% of the way through the file. I'll get to that in a second. Let's see, searching. You want to search for something in the file? It's really easy. / will start a search. So let's look for the word free. There, takes me to free. I can, right? You see it highlight there? I've got a couple of settings in my Vim RC file. Normally I've got lots of settings set, but for this presentation, I just wanted to go with kind of a bone stock Vim configuration. Although I did set a few things. For one, I set highlight search so that the words that I search for are highlighted. right? So I did a search with the slash key. I can search for the next occurrence with the N key. Right? I just keep hitting N, it just keeps bouncing to the next. If I hit a shift N or uppercase N, it searches backwards. It reverses my current search. Go back to the top again. I can search just by going down. I can hit shift N to go up. If I want to search backwards in a file, let's say I'm at the end of the file and I know that something happened earlier, I can hit the question mark and then type in my search string. Ties, it's right there. That's the only occurrence of ties. Search for free backwards. And I can just hit N and it'll find the next occurrence searching backwards. If I want to reverse that search, shift N. Okay. Modifying text. This is what you need an editor for, right? What good is an editor if you can't change the text? That's kind of the definition of edit, right? So I showed you how I move around. Now I can go find a word I want to change, and I can just I can change one character at a time with the R key. I hit R, and it puts me into replace mode just for one character. I can type in any character I want, and now, as you see, it's changed to that. I'll change it back just by hitting the R key and then type in my new character. All right. I can change a word with the CW command. So I just type CW. Now it puts me into insert mode, replacing that word. I can put in as many words as I want into that space where that word was until I hit escape. So it's whatever I type is going to go into my screen until I hit the escape key. Let's see, change that. All right, change that back to an E. I can delete characters with the X key. I just move around to the character I want to delete. I can just start hitting X. Right? And I'm using U for undo. I showed that on another slide, but every time I do this, I just hit U to undo my previous change. If you're looking at my slide there, you can also see I can delete 5 letters at a time, just 5X. I just proceed the command with a repeat count. So here I can say 3X, and it'll delete 3 characters. 10X, it'll delete 10 characters. I can delete a whole word if I want. Remember, CW was to change a word. I can do DW to delete a word. I can delete the next 3 words, 3DW, and do it again. If I want to delete to the end of the line, it's real easy. Shift D, boom, it's gone to the end of the line. I want to delete a whole line, DD will delete a whole line. I just did a U to put it back. I can delete 3 lines, 3 DD. 3 lines are gone, and I'll put it back. There's this idea of registers in Vim, and we're not going to get too deep into the registers. There's lots of uses for them, but we will use one of the registers, and that is I can yank lines or words into the yank buffer or the yank register. So if I do, let's say I'm going to take this line I'm on right here. I can do YY. That just yanked it into the yank buffer. Now I can put it with a P command. I can put it as many times as I want. It's in the register. I'm just putting it out there. I'm going to undo that. That's yank. So I can take the next 2 lines, 2YY, and I just yank those into the yank register. I can put them just by hitting P, and it's actually inserting both of those lines. So let's undo all of that. I'm going to undo much of all the work that I just did. Let's see. Okay. It's interesting to note if I delete a line, that also puts it into the yank buffer. So it's really cool. If I have 2 lines, let's take line 1, line 2. If I want to reverse these lines, I can DD it, put it into the yank buffer, and then I can put it, and it puts it. So a real easy way to to switch the order of two lines is just DDP. All right, DDP. If I yank that line and I want to put it above the line, Shift P. Now it's inserting the line above my current line. Just a single lowercase p will insert it below the current line. Let's see, get it back to where I had it. Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? We'll just keep on moving. Next page. Modifying text, continue. You can, if you have two lines that you want to join, let's say line 1, line 2, and I want to join those together into one line, Shift J. Just join that line up. I can keep doing it. Shift J, that pulled up the blank line. Shift J just keeps pulling up these lines. Let me undo that, clean my screen up again. If I do a command, many of the commands I can repeat them very easily. Like if I do DW to delete a word, dot will repeat the last command. So I just keep hitting dot and it just keeps deleting. It just keeps deleting words because that was the command I did, DW. So let's put those lines back. Same, I could delete a line, DD, and then I can just dot. It'll just keep repeating that. Let's see. I can read in another file. Do I have another file here? Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what. My other file is the presentation. I'm going to go to the end of this file, and I'm down there at the end. I'm going to read it in. R space. There's my presentation file. So I just read in that file. Now, at the end of the Declaration of Independence is my Vim presentation. Really easy. :R to read a file. Let's undo that. I showed you how you can start to insert text, right? I hit I to insert. Blah blah. I'm inserting, and I'm going to keep on inserting until I hit the escape key. Then I go back into normal mode. I can also, like I will insert wherever the cursor is, it'll insert right at that point, pushing everything else to the right. So I hit I, and I start typing stuff, and it's pushing everything else to the right. If I hit A instead, that's appending, but it still puts me in insert mode. So A for append. And now all the characters are going after wherever the cursor was. Okay, so like if I want to go to the end here, the end of the line, and I want to start, well, there's already a space at the end. If I want to start inserting after that, I do A for append, and then start typing my text. Okay, and if you're in, no matter what mode you're in, if you want to get out of that mode, like let's say you're in insert mode, escape will get you out of that. So anytime you're in doubt, hit escape. Even if you're already in normal mode, hit escape just because maybe you didn't know you were in it. And it'll ring a bell. You can kind of, I don't know if you see it on your screens or not, but it's kind of doing a invisible or a visible bell.
Yep,
I've got my my sound turned off on my on that, so it doesn't actually ring the bell. But on many terminals it will. You want to drive your coworkers crazy? Leave that on, and then just start hitting escape. That's normal mode, moving around and going into insert mode or replace mode and typing text. The other mode that's really important is command mode. And the way you get into command mode, we've already done it several times. The way you get into command mode is hit the colon. That puts you down here at the bottom. And that's where I did like the read command to read in a file. That's where I did the W command to write out my buffer. The Q command to quit. Yeah, I can't I can't quit because I have unsaved changes. But the colon key puts you in command mode. I think, well, command mode is coming up. I already covered the repetition count, right? 3x would delete 3 characters. 4DW would delete 4 words. Every command you can think of would work with a repetition count. Let's see. Undoing your changes, I mentioned I can do U to undo, right? So if I delete a word, I just hit U to undo it. If I undo it and then I decide no, I really wanted to do that, I can hit R to redo. I'm sorry, Control R. Let me fix that. The beauty of having written my presentation in Vim is I can change it on the fly. Anyway, undoing your changes, you do U. Redoing it, Control R. So if you undid a bunch of things and you decide no, I wanted to redo them, you can just hit Control R and it'll redo them all. Or you can always :Q exclamation to just throw away all your changes. I've done that a couple of times already too. Saving your file, I think I showed you. You can do a W. That'll save your file in place. You can do you can name a file name. So I can write this to another file. I can call it file2.txt, and it saves it. Okay. One thing I don't have in the slide there, though, if I try to save it to a file that already exists, I thought it would warn me. Yeah, the file exists. It won't let me step on it, so I got to do a W exclamation file2. Oh, that's right. I call it file2.txt. So if I do the exclamation, it'll let me step on the other file that I'm trying to write it to. And of course, :WQ or ZZ. I forgot to put X in here as well. If you want to just write out part of your file, let's say I want to write lines. Let's see what line I'm on. I'm on line 13. Let's say I want to write line 13 let's see, through 15 W file 3.
It's a comma.
That's right. 13 comma 15 W file 3. So I just wrote out 3 lines. Now let's quit this. I should have file 3 is just those 3 lines. Okay, so it's a range of lines. There's a lot of other ways to do a range where you don't have to remember your line numbers, and I'll get to that in a second. So ranges of lines. Actually, many commands take a range of addresses to perform their action on. All right. For instance, write will take a range of lines. I can do a real simple way is just the current line. It's a dot W file 4. That just wrote file 4. It's just that one line. Num, I think I showed you that. Like, well, 13. I can do 13 W file 5, and it'll just write line 13 out there. I can do that. I can go to the end of the file with a dollar. I can say $W. Hang on. $W file 6, and it'll write just the last line. All right. And like Wolf pointed out, I can do a range with separating the 2 lines with a comma. This is line 36, so I can do 36 comma 50 W file 7, and it just wrote those 15 lines. Percent is all lines, so I could do %W file 8, and that'll write the entire file out. I don't have, if I'm just doing it right, I don't have to say %. Percent comes in handy in some other places though. If I know I want to write like, let's see, dot comma +5. Okay, I just wrote 6 lines because it's going to take the current line plus 5 lines because it's relative, and I just wrote 6 lines out to my file. Command mode. I mentioned command mode. You get into command mode with the colon key, and we've done that many times so far. To write a file or to quit or to read in a file, whatever we're trying to do. There's also a ton of commands you can use from command mode, all the EX commands. One I use all the time, substitute. So let's see, what line am I on? Okay, on this line, I'm gonna substitute laws with XXXX. You see that? It just changed laws to XXXX right there. That was a simple substitute command. A command history works as well. I hit the up arrow when I'm down there in the command line, and I can scroll through all the commands that I've run since the last time I opened the editor. Anyway, I'm going to undo the change I just did, and it went back to laws. Notice though, it only did it on that one line. Let's see, is there for a line? It's got multiple the same word twice.
Looks like nature and nature on the 4th line up there.
Right there, nature. It's twice, right? So if I'm on this line and I do a substitute nature for y, it only changes the first occurrence by default, right? If I do the command again and I put a G on it for global, it's global on that line, so it changes all occurrences on that line. If I put a range of lines in, like let's say percent, nature, ZZZZ, okay? Without the G, it's going to only change the first occurrence on every line that it finds it. Okay? I don't know if the word nature exists anywhere else. Let's check. I know free does. So let's free. I think there's even some. Maybe there's no cases of it. I thought I had a anyway. So back here. So if I want to change, if I want to search for every line and change every occurrence of something on that line, right? Percent to say I want to do the whole file. S for substitute, the word I'm searching for, the word I'm going to replace it with, and then G for global on that on each line. I can also, instead of S, remember I could also do like dollar, 1 comma dollar. That's the same thing. Percent is like a shorthand for 1 comma dollar, right? That's a range of lines. So I hit that and I just changed it. I did 12 substitutions on 11 lines. So at least one of the lines had multiple. Oh, this line right here had it twice. So I'm going to undo it. And we're back to back where we started. Now notice it, it just looked for ARE, even in the word declare. It contains ARE, it contained our search pattern. There's, these are regular expressions. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. You can do anchors, I can substitute the beginning. Well, let's do that. Starting at the beginning of the line, looking for something. It just changed the one at the beginning of the line. Case independent, case insensitive, right? Like here's the word that right here, right? It doesn't find that one because it starts with a capital T. But if I let's try this, substitute that, going to change every occurrence of that to TTT. It changed them all except for this one because it starts with a capital T. I can do the same thing if I add the I flag to my substitute. Now it's going to change all of them, even without regard to case. That one changed. So that's command. There's so much more you can do in command mode. I don't have time to cover much of it, but again, the online documentation, even the built-in documentation that I'll mention in a minute, covers all the things you can do in command mode. And to get out of command mode, hit escape. And I'm out. You can also just press enter. That'll get you out. Visual mode. This is one of my favorites. Visual mode. Let's see. How do I get this? I usually have a key mapped to when I hit escape, the highlighted search will unhighlight. Let's just do that. Okay. Visual mode. This is where you get to block some text. And now I can perform actions on that text. So like I can do a substitute so that only within this section, I'm going to change. I'm going to do my replacement, my substitute only within those blocked lines. All right. So it changed this one and this one, but not that one because that was outside. I can reselect it with GV. That's not in my my notes there, but GV will reselect whatever your previous selection was. So now I can just I can undo my replacement there. Shift V is how I selected that. I just hold down the Shift key, hit the V, and then I can use my cursor motion commands to change my selection. Right? Control V will get a block. Let's see. Control. We'll do a like a vertical block. I'm hitting the wrong thing here. There we go. I can get a vertical block. See that? So this, when editing the Declaration of Independence, I don't need that. But if I were editing code, if I were working on a program, and for instance, if I wanted to insert, indent this paragraph some number of spaces, I can just do my vertical selection and insert spaces. And when I hit escape, it does it on all the lines in my vertical block. Same thing, I can delete. All right, I can block something and I can hit the X key and delete that selection. I can do the same thing with line selecting lines with Shift V. I can select all these lines. I can hit X and it deleted them. Let's go back and put things back to where they should be. So that's visual mode. When I learned that, man, I became much more productive in Vim.
So on Shift V, if you're in this middle of a line, does it select the whole line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. See if I'm out here, Shift V, still selects the whole line.
Okay.
What's neat though is you can toggle between Shift V and Control V. Like I've got this block selected, and I think, oh damn, I meant to do a vertical selection. I've got it selected. I can just hit Control V now, and I'm in a vertical selection. I can hit Shift V, and I'll go back to a line selection. See how easy that is? So while you're in the middle of selecting something, if you realize you chose the wrong mode, you meant to choose line mode instead of vertical mode, you can just hit the key to do that, Shift V or Control V.
So when you're in column select mode, can you use the HJKL keys as well as the arrow keys?
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
I haven't used the arrow keys at all, but
Oh,
like if
okay.
I go column mode, right, I'm hitting the L key right now, and now I start hitting the J key.
Okay.
Okay. It gets wonky when you get to a shorter line. See how it
Yeah.
kind of selects backwards? But I can go all the way through the file and slice out this vertical column of text. And now if I hit the X key, it'll delete it all. So
It'd be
my
great if you have
declaration just became weird.
yeah, it'd be great if you had a column or you had a table that was using ASCII mode and putting everything in columns. You want to get rid of a column. That's always been a problem.
Yeah. I mean, if you did it like with like this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just type. And then like I do this like when I do wiki pages and stuff, right? A, B, yeah, and so on.
Mhm.
And if you just had, like that, well, you want to get rid of this column, right?
Yep.
Or you
Yep,
want to make this
absolutely.
column wider. Well, yeah. And put in your hyphens there. So block mode is really, really nice for that. Selecting visual mode rather, for selecting a column or a line or whatever. I love that. Okay, another killer feature that I absolutely love, split screen. Right? SP. Now I've got basically I've got two windows with the same file. And I use this all the time in programming. I might have something defined up at the top of my program, and then down in somewhere in the body of my program, I'm doing something with it. So I'll keep the top of it in one window, and then I can go down here and navigate through the file on the bottom. All right, that's just :SP to go into split mode. I can edit a completely different file if I want by just naming the file when I do my split command. What was one of the my presentation? Yeah, it was just warning me that I can't. I tried opening it for edit, and I've got it open already, so I can't open it to edit it. But I'm in read-only mode. In fact, you can see that right here. It's indicated on my status line. You get a status line for each file. So it's in read-only mode. Anyway, I can scroll through one file. I can scroll through another file. I can yank lines out of one file and put it into the other file. It's warning me that I'm changing a read-only file, but that's all right. I can just yank and put between my files. Really nice and handy. Let's see. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm jumping between my windows. Right, I'm in this window. I jump down here to this window. I'm hitting Control W, and then the cursor movement keys: Control WJ, Control WK. Right, so I hit Control WJ, and that moves me down to here. Control WK moves me up to here. I can have more than one split. I could split again. Now I got three. Right, Control WJ moves me down one. Control WJ moves me down again. I can move back up with Control WK. I can close one just by hitting Q on that window, and it closes it. So now I still have two. I can swap the two windows. Well, basically the window I'm in with the window below it, I can swap with Control WX. See that? It moved the declaration to the top window and my presentation to the bottom window. And again, I can toggle between them. This is a little bit, it's a tongue twister or a finger twister when you try to do it, but I can change the size of the window. Right? I can say, I want this window to be 10 lines less. So 10, let's see, 10, Control W minus It just removed, it just shrunk that window by 10 lines. Right? I can do the same thing again. I can make it grow by 5 lines. So I do 5, Control W plus. So it's basically the number of lines I want to do, the Control W, and the plus or minus is what you do to increase or decrease your window size. Control, if I just do Control W plus, it'll just do a line at a time because I didn't put a repeat. All right, 5, Control W. So I can make my windows as big or tall, as big or small as I want, tall or short as I want. You can also split your windows vertically. VS for vertical split. See that? It's kind of confusing when I have 2 of the same file, but it's handy if you're editing a file and you want to compare side by side some lines. So I'm going to quit that, and I'm going to split a different. I'm going to vertically split my presentation. There. So now I've got my presentation on the left and my Declaration of Independence on the right. And I can move between them, right and left, by hitting, what do you think? Control W, H or L. H to go left, Control W, L to go right. It's the same cursor movement keys, right? H, J, K, and L. So Control W, H will move me left, Control W, L will move me right. I can close the current window. Control W X. No, I'm sorry, that swaps. My presentation is, I'm debugging my presentation as we go. Control W C will close the current window. So this is my current window. Control W C, close that window. If I instead wanted to close the other window, okay, I've got 2 windows here. If I want to keep this window open, because normally Control W C will close the current window. If I want to keep this window open, I can close the other one by doing Control W O. Oh, it has changes. Let's undo all those changes here. Okay, so let's go back up here. Control W O will close the other window. Very handy. There's a ton of settings. Remember I said there's over 1,000 commands and settings? I'm just going to show you a couple of them here. Set will show me my current settings that I have, and there's not that many. Okay. Set all will show me all the available settings, and there's several pages of them. Okay. But I'll give you a simple one. Set NU turns on line numbers. Cool, huh? If I want to turn them off, you just prefix it with no. So set no num, no NU. Most of the settings have a long name to them, but you can abbreviate it to the shortest possible abbreviation where it's not ambiguous. So like I can do set NUMBER, or I can set no NU to turn it on. Let's see, in my docs. Oh, you know how I can do searches? I can search for I'm in the let's get back into Declaration. Remember I searched for I had the word that. I mean, we have the word that many times, right? It's in here, it's there, and there. It skipped over that because I searched specifically for uppercase THAT. THAT. I can make it so that all my searches are case insensitive. So I can do set IC, or that's the abbreviation for insensitive case. So now you see my search, it finds all of them, even the ones that start with uppercase. Okay. I have no wrap scan turned on and no wrap, but I'm going to turn on wrap scan, And now if I start searching for a word, I'm gonna search for that. If I start searching for a word, it goes all the way down to the end of the file, and then it wraps back around to the top. Let's get down to the end. It's down here. Right there's the end. If I do end for next, it's gonna wrap back around to the top. It even tells me on the status line. Right. The other thing I like to turn on is no wrap. So if I have a really long lines, notice how it's not wrapping the text. It's just a really long line. And to see all of it, I got to scroll sideways to see it. You can turn on wrap, which I think it's on by default. I turn it off myself. You can turn on wrap, and now it stays on the screen. It just wraps. Right. Wrap gets, when you turn on wrap mode, though, it gets kind of wonky when you start moving through your file. Because notice, like here, I want to move down a line. Well, it moves down to the next physical line, not logical line. Or maybe I have that backwards. Anyway, it moves down to the next real line, which is down here. Right? There is a setting to make it actually move down to the next line on the screen rather than the next line in your text. Anyway, study up on the settings, because like I said, there's a ton of them. And way more than I can ever remember. I don't even know what most of them do. And I don't need to. Again, I've got my 30 or 40 commands I use. That's it. There's so much more.
There is a whole lot more, and I'm with you. I don't know what most of those settings are. I haven't looked at them. The one that I use, the only one I remember is set list, which is great if you
control
have
characters.
control characters, non-printing characters to show up. And that's very helpful if you're programming and you got a file from someplace that's got extra nulls in it or something.
Yeah, I just turned on list. I just set list, and it shows me at the end of the line. It's a $sign, right? And it can show me like this is interesting because now I can things become visible, right? If I know that's the end of the line, I can see I have a space there.
Yep.
Also, if I had tabs,
yep.
Well, let's see. Right, it doesn't actually tab out. It shows Control I as the tab. Right, so list is really helpful. If you say no list, it actually tabs it out. You can see.
And if you get a file from Windows that has those
carriage
returns in them, it becomes really obvious.
Yeah. Here, I'll put one in. Somebody else going to say something?
Yeah, Jim. Bring up an actual program where you've got the program bindings set for it, so it will highlight the keywords from that.
Oh yeah.
You must use that in Perl all the time.
I sure do. And JavaScript and HTML and everything. In fact, I even mentioned this so much more. It does have syntax highlighting. Let me make my font much bigger. I'm just going to show you. Oh God, what's a good one? You can see I'm in Perl, and it's doing syntax highlighting. You know, it knows first of all that it's a Perl file. Vim is smart, and it highlights keywords, and there's a regular expression that it knows about. I'm a bit colorblind, so it really until recently I turned off syntax highlighting because I couldn't really see it anyway, and then finally I found a good theme that has good contrasting colors, so it works for me now. For the longest time, really until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't use syntax highlighting at all because I couldn't see the colors. It chose colors that were hard for me to see. So I actually modified my theme and set some custom colors so I can see it better.
Hey Jim,
to use.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how powerful help is?
Yes, it's a lot. I think it's the next slide. Let me get through this real quick. And it's just a list of things that we don't have time to cover. Things like themes and syntax highlighting and plugins. There's a million plugins out there, and there's plugin managers, and there's things to do. Create new commands. You can create your own commands, but there's plugins out there to do that. I've got a this is on another machine where I'm showing this Perl code. I got a plugin called Surround. Wolf turned me on to this. I can. This is really helpful. Like when I'm editing HTML, I can. Let's see. I can surround something with a character, right? Like I just surrounded my with quotes. Not too useful here in my Perl code, but like when I'm editing HTML, I always like my values of my attributes in HTML to be surrounded with quotes. So I've got the plugin that does it. YSIW quote. And it just takes whatever the word is I'm on and it puts quotes around it. Then I can use dot to just repeat it. Right? And maybe maybe you're editing HTML. I don't know, Wolf. Does it work with this? If I do like, no, it doesn't. There is a way to make it surround your word with the angled brackets like you would use for HTML. Anyway, there's a ton of stuff like that out there. I use the Surround plugin. There's so many more.
Hey, Jim, if you show an HTML file, you'll exhibit the beginning and ending braces and stuff like that. We could have shown that in a Perl file too for parentheses.
Yeah.
Or
let me get down here. Yeah. So here's my HTML. See, is this what you're talking about, Dave? Where it kind of highlights.
Well, if you put the cursor on at the beginning of that div line, and it should highlight.
I have that turned off.
You have that turned off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because for me,
sometimes that's helpful to see which one is the closing parent.
I have it turned off because the coloring issue and my color blindness.
Right.
The word that's selected there, the thing that's selected, is hard for me to see what it is. Like I can look at it in this large font, I can tell that's a quote. But when it would match, it would highlight both of them. Like it would highlight that too, and I couldn't read it, so I turned it off. But that's one of the features of Vim. It's so configurable. I could do that. I could turn that off. And I can change
parentheses and with braces and stuff like that for the languages that use that. It's sometimes really useful for it to tell you where the end is.
Sure. Well, one of the other great things about Vim, I didn't even cover this, is finding them. Like what Dave's talking about is right now I'm on this left squiggle. It would automatically highlight the right squiggle, and that kind of bothered me. But I can just be on a left squiggle, and I can hit %, and it jumps to the next one, to the matching one.
Ooh, I just learned. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
That's how I function.
Right? The only problem with that though is if you've got a commented line that also has
it sucks.
It throws it off. So you can't have any commented lines or groups of lines that
contain those characters,
unfinished pairs in them.
All right.
Other than that, it works great. So
syntax highlighting gets a little wonky when you do that too, because it like if you have quotes and stuff in your comments, if you don't like, it's not so much a problem with quotes, but if you use like an apostrophe in your comment, like you put the word don't or can't or something in your comment, it thinks it's in the middle of a quoted string. So your syntax coloring gets all off. But yeah, like Dave was, here, like I can match that. Oh, yeah, in fact, that does match here.
Yeah, the % sign will pair the parentheses, braces, square brackets. It's really nice.
Yeah, actually, it doesn't do the parentheses. I'm sorry, it doesn't do quotes. You're right. You said parentheses. Yeah, it'll do square brackets, squiggle brackets,
and parentheses. Yeah.
And what goes backwards?
You just hit it again.
You hit it again.
Whichever,
and it goes back.
Oh,
whichever one you're on.
Okay, right.
It goes back and forth. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, whichever one you're on, it goes to the opposite one. Very, very handy.
For grouping, it's great.
In fact, It's so useful. I'm going to go back up here, and where I'm talking about moving around. Where did it go? Moving around in your file. I'm going to add this to my slides. Percent.
All
Whatever.
these years, I didn't
Well,
know
it shows
that.
pairs.
Imagine the
Right, it
pain
shows
I
pairs
put
of
myself
tendencies.
through not knowing that.
Let's see. No, you're on that or that or a
Squiggle.
that. I think there's others it'll find too. It'll find the other one.
The pair, yeah.
Yeah. Of the pair. Okay, so now that's in my slides. Anyway, let's get back to somewhere down here. So much more. Oh, yeah. Okay. And I mentioned very briefly registers, very powerful. There's the one that gets used when you yank things, but you can do named registers. Different registers have different behavior. When I delete a line, it goes into the one of the registers, and then I can put it. Like I said, there's a way. There's I can't even say how much there is to do with registers. You got to read the help. Marks, you can set marks on a file. This is what I used to do when I didn't know about block, or maybe it didn't have block, or back even in good old Vi. I would, like, if I knew I wanted these 3 lines, right? Like I want to do something with these 3 lines, I would do a mark A, mark B. So it's just I'm typing MA and MB, and then I can reference those marks. Right. So, and this is my crude version of clipboard. I would just write it out to a file called /temp/j. So I did my mark A and my mark B, and now I can refer to those marks right there. See that? Quote A, comma, quote B. That's my range. But now, of course, I don't have to do that because I can just block it. All right. In fact, when you block it, it sets up 2 marks for you. Quote left, or quote less than, and quote right, greater than. Those are, I guess they're just marks. And then there's, of course, there's a graphical version of Vim called GVim. I think on the Mac, there's MacVim, and there's NeoVim. It's a fork of Vim. I encourage you to check them all out. Next page, help. As Wolf was starting to say, show how awesome the help is. Somebody's got the blues. Help. If you ever need help, just type :help. You get a half screen with your help. And again, it's a split window. I can do Control WJ to move down to my code, Control WK to move back up. This is help. It's huge. It's I don't know how big it is. It says 254 lines, but there's a lot more help than that. If you just Control WC to close that one. If you want help on a specific topic, help. Let's say registers. Here's the help on registers. Right. There's a ton of information out there in help. There's the numbered registers, the named registers, all that kind of stuff. What else? Wolf, is there something else in help I should show?
So help knows every command. Help
Yep.
knows every built-in keystroke. Help knows every setting. Help knows every variable.
Yeah, like help inc search. That's the incremental search thing. Tells you all kinds of stuff about it. It knows everything. Help S for substitute. Tells you all about. Well,
those are also hyperlinks in there that you can.
Yeah, and it's great if you're used to info. The info command on Unix systems, on like GNU Unix systems. I I was always more of a man page guy, but there's also info pages on things, and I think this help works more like info. Like I can be on count, and I think I hit enter. Well, I forget what do I got to do to jump to.
I think it's control right bracket.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And then to go back, let's see, or you could do another one there, go into there, and then you got a
Control O takes
a
it back.
stack of hyperlinks that you're in.
Yeah.
And let's see what
Yeah.
Wolf, do you remember how to get back to the previous one? Control O.
Control O. Yeah, it's taking me backwards.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
help single quote number.
A number or the word number?
Number, the word.
Yeah. That's
Settings start with a quote.
oh, okay. To look up a setting. Okay. So if I want to look up like that number command, where I turned on line numbers, that's the help page for that. Down here, I'll actually turn it on, set number. Right. So tons of help, tons of information on the internet. If you want to get in and learn Vim, Vim Tutor is a tutor program that'll kind of take you through learning Vim. It takes, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes to go through it. It's a great way to get started. It'll cover much of what I just did. It doesn't get into the advanced stuff, but if you want to just get in and start using Vim, it's a great way to learn how to do it. It's a separate command than Vim, but it's great, right? And just if you remember anything about this, whatever mode you're in, if you want to get back to normal mode, hit the escape key. All right, back to normal mode, so you can start moving around again. So questions?
Yeah, Jim. I had one thought I'd like to throw out there, and if you're sitting out there listening to this, this may sound like, man, there is just so much stuff here. Why bother to learn that? And there's a reason, and that is that if you're going to do text editing for code, which is what you do when you're writing programs, Vim is far and away the most productive editor to use. It's well worth the learning curve, which isn't really all that steep. Once you get the escape to get out and you learn to navigate around and do, like 6 or 8 of those commands, especially undo, and dot to redo. It is far and away, far and away, the most productive way to edit, because you can do the whole thing without lifting your fingers off the keyboard. And every time you lift your fingers off, even to get to arrow keys, you're slowing yourself down. And if you have to take your hand off to go to the mouse and then get it back, it's much better than using a full screen with the mouse kind of editor, which you're probably using as a default. It's just much faster.
No,
and you get to rely on it so much.
Thanks, Dave. I completely agree. There are some benefits to some of the IDEs.
I would add to that one other thing I've noticed is you should learn a minimal and advanced use of it, just because it's on every system you'll ever use.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why
that's number 2. It's always there. And so you will always have an editor on every system.
Yeah, even if it's just Vi, if you're on a really old Unix system or something, maybe you don't have Vim, but it's just Vi. Much of what I just covered is in Vi. Not the visual selection and stuff, but moving around, saving a file, reading a file, making substitutions in a file. That's not Vim specific. That's in any VI flavored editor.
Another nice.
I have one more kind of snarky reason that if you're ever you are being helped by somebody and they're trying to coach you along, tell you what to do, and you can't do Vim, they may already downgrade you. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not really a dude, you know. So, kind of a defensive thing is learn it so that if you're ever on the receiving end of help and somebody tells you to go in and Vim a file, you can do it.
Yeah, and the reverse is true as well. If you can go in and use Vim, and you will impress the person that you're working with. I believe.
Well, one nice thing about Vim is that it's text oriented, so you can do this when you SSH into any system.
Yes.
And related to that,
Yes.
I would mention also, oh, and plus it's you don't need the mouse; it's the keyboard. So when you're SSH'd in, you don't usually have the mouse available to do things.
You can do it if you connect it in through a modem. You know.
Yep. It's low bandwidth. And here's
it is.
Here's a neat command. You mentioned Vim Tutor. There's also Vim Diff, which is all one word. You can do a text-oriented diff side by side. That's really nice.
And there's also a program you should never use, which is called EasyVim.
EasyVim?
It's one of the things that comes with Vim, but it's Vim without modes.
Oh.
So once you're in, you can't quit. I mean, you can, but it's just so hard to navigate in. Don't ever run EasyVim.
Yeah. Anyway, any more questions?
Try a Vim diff just to show what it can do there.
Yeah.
With two of your files. Maybe like the full one and a partial.
I'll just do this. Okay. Like this is Vim file 3 and file 7. These are things that I wrote out to a file. So yeah, it's got the vertical windows, right? And it's showing me the difference between the two files. This is a lousy example of files to diff, but if I had two files that were similar.
It also has commands to copy pieces from one side to the other.
Oh, it's for doing an interactive diff, you mean?
Right.
Okay.
Vim diff, file 1, file 2. Yeah, so it's showing me the difference between the files, right?
So line 2 is added in the left file and it's missing in the right file.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would diff, file 1, file 2. Yeah. Anyway, useful command, right? Any more questions? I my presentation was supposed to be 45 minutes. We're into an hour and 20 minutes now. Greatly eating into Wolf's time.
Not at all. Not worried.
Not worried? Okay. All right. Well, I hope you found this useful. If there's interest, I would be at some point willing to give a more advanced talk. Again, it's just going to be on the parts of Vim that I use. But we could do another one of these meetings sometime where I tell you some of the more advanced things. And of course, there's my ADM3 keyboard. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And Wolf, would you like to take over and do your part?
I am going to speak, but I'm not going to share my screen.
Okay.
This is a freeform talk, and I don't have slides. But I am a user of the product Pi-hole, and I'm going to explain what it is, how it works, why you might want to use it, and how you can get it installed and make it do things for you. So first, I want to tell you how it's spelled so you know how to look it up. It's spelled capital P I-hole. All the other letters are lowercase. It's PI, like Raspberry Pi, and it has a dash between pi and whole. They even talk about this on their website. So Pi-hole is a daemon that you run on any one of the following systems. You can run it on Raspberry Pi OS. You can run it on Armbian OS. You can run it on Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, and CentOS Stream, which I believe means you can run it on Alma as well. You can try to run it on other systems and it will warn you, but you can still install it and make it happen. It is built of several individual pieces that go together. Let me tell you what it does. I should have started with what problem does it solve? It solves the problem of ads showing up on your computer, but not just your computer, your smart TV, your phone when it's on Wi-Fi, your little game systems that connect to the internet, any number of Internet of Things type things that can show ads. Pi-hole can stop them all. And the way Pi-hole does this is by running its own DNS server. And then you take your router and you set the fixed IP address of your Raspberry Pi or whatever to be the DNS resolver for your network. What happens is it has a black and white list of servers to allow or disallow. The disallow list is made up of advertising servers like DoubleClick and some of the Google addresses and whatnot. And when you go to search for that, when you go to look that up in DNS, there's many things that Pi-hole can do. The default is it will return an internet address for that bad advertising name of 0.0.0.0. It does this because that's the most compatible way to stop whatever thing we're talking about from searching any further and downloading an ad. Pi-hole stops you from seeing ads, stops them from tracking you, makes your internet faster because you're not downloading tons of JavaScript to make a web page work. And yes, Joe, you are correct. Docs.pi-hole.net is exactly the right place to look for more. Now, let me tell you the pieces that make up Pi-hole. Pi-hole is open source. They accept contributions. They have a code of conduct. They're working very hard on it. So be nice to the people who are doing it. It is made up of DNS Mask, that's Mask with a Q, which is a lightweight DNS and DHCP server, because that's the thing you can do on the side with Pi-hole, is if you want, Pi-hole can be not just your DNS server, but it can manage all the addresses on your local network. It can be a DHCP server. It has curl built into it to connect to various things and to connect to it from other various things. It's got Lighty, also known as Light TPD, which is a web server, sometimes used as a front for other web servers to serve just the static pages. It uses PHP. It's got a dashboard, admin LTE dashboard, and it has two databases, which are both run by SQLite 3. The two databases it has are the DNS lookup database and the black and white list database. So these things all go together. And when you install it, it has two interfaces, a web interface, which you can activate, or a command line interface. And you start it up by just saying Pi-hole on the command line, and it will run in the background. You want to give it a static IP. One that's assigned by DHCP is fine. You don't want it to assign its own DHCP address because that gets wonky. But if you are not going to make it do DHCP itself, then you can use a DHCP address that you got from your router. You can also, if you don't have any of these systems, run Pi-hole in a Docker container. Now, when you run it in a Docker container, you have several problems you have to solve. In a Docker container, the default networking arrangement is something called bridge mode. And in bridge mode, you can't do broadcast messages to a different network. And the Docker container is on its own network, separated from your local network. So you have to do a bunch of shuffling around so that DNS can work, because DNS works on a broadcast network. It turns out that most people's use of Pi-hole is completely simple. Mine is completely simple. I installed Pi-hole on my Raspberry Pi. I gave it a fixed IP address. I set my router to use that IP address and port as my DNS resolver. And then I started up Pi-hole and it just worked. That's how most people use Pi-hole. If your TV connects to your router to get ads when it's paused, or to get ads when it's on a streaming channel and they're inserted ads, those ads will go away. If there are ads actually inserted into the stream, those ads won't go away because those come from the streaming source. They're not inserted dynamically using DNS to fetch them. It'll stop your telephone, your cell phone, if your cell phone is using your local Wi-Fi and not on the cell network. It'll stop your game machines. It'll stop all of these things from getting ads. This is one reason why my wife does not like Pi-hole. She plays internet games where in the internet games, she watches an ad to get more time. And if they can't show an ad, she can't get more time. So I've got her installing the Google DNS servers as her DNS servers, and everybody else uses Pi-hole. Pi-hole is easy to download and easy to install. We already talked about Docker. The documentation site. Oh, Jim P asks, is there a reason why you wouldn't want Pi-hole to be your DHCP server? No, it's easy to make it be a DHCP server, and it's effective, and it's no problem. So you would always, unless you've got some specific reason not to, make Pi-hole be your DHCP server? Gib, yes, that's how Pi-hole is spelled. SHRAD, fantastic. I'm just answering questions. There's not much to Pi-hole. You can control whether it services IPv6 or IPv4 or both. You can control domain matching with regular expressions if you want, and they are flexible regular expressions that do near matching. You can make it run on just about anything. Let me answer questions about it. It's a really simple topic. I'm glad Jim took too much time.
Do you have a list of, or do you have selections for favorite lists of that are different from the ones that come with Pi-hole that you like to use? Blocking
There are
lists?
some lists that you can download in the cloud, and the documentation refers to them, so you can actually get those lists. The lists that your particular installation of Pi-hole blocks and doesn't block are in the database of your local Pi-hole. You can modify those at any time. You can do it with command line commands or through the dashboard. Let me see, what else can I say about it? Yes, you can change that list. You can rebuild the database if there's a problem. There usually isn't, because it's SQLite, which is very robust. Everything that I'm saying to you, you'll see an even deeper explanation on the URL that Joe put in the chat. docs.piehole.net. It took me a total of, I had to find my Raspberry Pi, but after that, it took me a total of maybe 15 minutes to set it up. And most of that was just messing around with static IPs and fixing the router. Other questions?
You mentioned that it blocks ads on your cell phones.
If they're connected to Wi-Fi.
If they're
They're using your router and therefore getting to the Pi-hole for DNS lookup. Go on.
So I'm not seeing that in my installation. I'm seeing that on an Android phone using the default Google browser, that ads still show up. I have on my cell phone changed it to say, yes, I want to do a specific DNS server and picked Pi-hole. It still gets the ads. I'm wondering if, does the Google browser have its own DNS implementation, so it's not even looking at my Pi-hole?
You know, that's a possibility. My first concern would be, have you set the DNS for the network that is the Wi-Fi network, and are you on the Wi-Fi network?
Yes.
It could also be that your phone is using IPv6, which may route around Pi-hole.
Oh.
Because IPv6 could route around Pi-hole.
So you can control Pi-hole to service IPv6 and IPv4 at the same time, but maybe you haven't.
No, I definitely have not.
Also, Chrome surprises me in many different ways. I am not the biggest fan of Chrome. I won't try to sell you on not using Chrome here, I just think there are better browsers.
I have considered that it's probably time for me to try going to Firefox on Android, but I haven't done the research yet. Thanks.
Whenever I need a Chrome-like browser, one that satisfies and does everything that Chrome does, except for the stuff I consider to be bad, I use Brave.
I've been using Chromium for the same reason.
Other questions? Yes. Gib, you can install a list of sites that gather data, and they won't be able to gather data, assuming you're going through your Pi-hole. Well, that's about all I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry I didn't have slides. I just started work this week, and I've been incredibly busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Your
remember,
explanation, you've explained that to me before about how you use it as your DNS server, and it just didn't click for me until tonight. I thought it was more like something sitting in between your home network and the internet, more like a gateway, but it's just DNS.
Right.
It's just the DNS server. And that's pretty cool.
Let me tell you about the various let's see if I've got this right. There are several different ways that several different responses that the DNS server part of Pi-hole can respond to a request that's on the blacklist. And the most compatible way is to simply return 0.0.0.0.
Yeah.
But there's several other things that it can do, several more formal responses. The problem with those more formal responses, which you can see a list of at the Pi-hole documentation site, are many of them will cause the client that is trying to download the ad to try to download the ad anyway, even though it's not getting to anything, or will manage to hit a timeout instead of simply giving up immediately. But depending on your network and what specifically you care about, you can configure Pi-hole to return any of the specific kinds of responses that a DNS server can return.
I'm thinking there of the New York Times app, which when you're viewing a story and it can't display its ads, it will eventually lock up and the page will crash. Then you have to go back in. So maybe that one of those settings would make it just give up on trying to download the ads.
That's a possibility. All right, there's also logging, which you can set all the way from everything is obscured, so you don't see any of the sites that people were trying to get to, or any of the responses, all the way down to it records everything. I believe there's 5 levels of logging that you can set it for. If you have teenage boys and you're trying to keep track of what websites they're going to, maybe you want the least private setting. If you're a normal human being and your kids are normal human beings, and you don't want to invade their privacy, maybe you want the highest level of privacy.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I think I see a use finally for the Raspberry Pi that I bought several years ago. It's just sitting on my shelf.
It'll even run on a Raspberry Pi Zero. It doesn't need everything that's in a Raspberry Pi. You can
Yeah.
configure the size of the cache. The default is 10,000. It needs to be at least 150 if you're using it as a DHCP server. But you can control it other than that. And you can see if things are evicted from the cache, you might want to consider a larger cache.
That's pretty neat. Any more questions?
Yeah, what's the reason for 150 on the minimum?
DNS, DHCP requires using the cache to a certain extent. So it's got to be at least 150 for the DHCP server. I don't know what it uses those 150 slots for.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much, Will.
My pleasure.
Appreciate that. Yeah. I have updated the website to include my slideshow. And if you go to the MUG website, the meeting announcement for tonight's meeting has a link at the bottom for my slides, my text file. That's the nice thing about using a plain old text file for that is anybody can read it easily. You don't need a special viewer. You could even view it in Emacs if you wanted to. So I think that pretty much sums up the meeting for tonight. Stay tuned.
We missed
for
one thing.
What's that?
We did not introduce the board, and now that we have a new board member,
that's right.
We should each raise
That's
our
right. That's why we miss Craig, right?
Hey, just
so the
a
board-
second, Jim.
Yeah.
So I think according to the bylaws, the board members that are nominated have to, I guess, meet together and then select each other for the roles that they have, something like that.
Yep.
So I don't know if you want to wait until you do that.
Well, we can introduce the outgoing board.
Yes, certainly.
That's
okay.
easy, and then
Yep.
we can of course make mention that Joe Ryan is our newest member and
That sounds great.
will be official as of our next board meeting. So I'm Jim McQuillan. I've been on the board for a long time. Sometime in the late 90s, I think, is when I joined the board. Dave Satwitz, he's still here. He's been on the board probably the same amount of time. Richard Williams, he's been on the board longer than any of us. Who else? Wolf, he's been on the board for a couple of years now.
No, just 1 year.
Right? Just 1 year? Okay. Well, this will be his second year. And then Justin Triplett, who joined us by phone for a while, but I don't see him on now. He's been on for 2 years or so, I think. And of course, on the meeting tonight, we've got a couple of old board members. Gibb was a board member for a bit. Jim Gluting, he was a board member for a long time.
21 years, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. A long damn time. And I don't
The
know if there's
newbie.
any other. Yeah. So anyway, and at our next board meeting, which I believe will be the last Tuesday, which is the 30th. I can't make. Normally it would be on April 30th, but I can't make it that night. So we will come up with a time, and Joe, we will let you know. We might do it May 7th. Sometimes if we can't make it the last Tuesday of the month, we'll do it the first Tuesday of the following month. Does May 7th work for you guys?
It works for me.
Not for Dave.
I can do either the 30th or May 7th. So yeah, May 7th works
Okay.
for me.
Yeah, it doesn't work for
The
Dave.
wedding anniversary, I think I probably should not.
Yeah.
No,
That doesn't count, Dave.
Okay, I tell you what, Joe, I will put you on the board mailing list, and through the mailing list, we'll pick a time that works for everybody.
Okay, most of my
Okay.
evenings are free.
Okay,
And
good to know.
welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Thanks.
We're gonna put you to work.
Yeah, well, I just
Um,
hate to see open availabilities.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. Okay, well, man, it's been a pleasure tonight. Thank you all for showing up. Had a nice crowd here. Some of you I will probably see at the memorial service for Craig on Saturday.
yep.
If you need more information, there's a link on the MUG website. I think it's on the front page. If you just scroll down a little bit past tonight's presentation, there is actually I don't have it on there. I sent it out in the email, but I'll update that page with a link to the funeral home, and we'll get that going.
Yeah, you said it on the announcements. Yeah.
I did, yeah, but I want to put it up here on the website as well because
Sure.
it's easier to refer to the website. So I'll go ahead and do that in a couple of minutes. Anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you Saturday.
Yeah. With that, I'm gonna figure out how to turn off